Please welcome Vrbo Vice President of Product Eric Moore in discussion with VRM Intel founder and CEO Amy Hinote.
Wow, that's lame.
Hey, where is everybody?
Seriously.
Come on back in. We're waiting for you.
Vrbo is at the stage. Come on. So, Jordan called me yesterday morning, and he said that I couldn't ask anything about any potential organizational changes at Expedia.
And this is your way of not asking about it?
So tell me about the organizational change. I'm kidding. We also have a requirement that we can't take any audience questions. So you don't have to pick out the Slido on this. So I don't want you to.
Well, I was telling Amy backstage, I didn't pick the timing of that announcement yesterday. But I am really happy to be here and to chat with you about Vrbo and what we're doing, what we're focused on. And I'm just not really allowed to comment on the Expedia news, but encourage you to read the press release from Barry Diller if you're curious about what's been going on in Expedia leadership. But I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about Vrbo and what we're doing to make for better travel for families around the world.
So Eric Moore is the Vice President of Product Management at Vrbo. He has been there for a while with the company, since before Expedia purchased the company.
That's right. It's been about an 8-year journey for me. I was privileged to start when it was HomeAway, before we were really even a transactional marketplace, kind of more back in the Craigslist of travel days.
We heard it
yeah.
at this forum, actually,
Right.
when Okerstrom said.
Right, and when on Vrbo, you couldn't even really set nightly rates, and we've come a long way, becoming a true two-sided marketplace, an e-commerce marketplace, and now most recently, really transitioning into Vrbo as our champion brand and what we're looking to take global with a new experience focused on families.
So what we're going to talk about today is about AI.
Yeah.
Which is a serious buzzword right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it as what you're working on the traveler side and on the supplier side. So first of all, AI.
What the heck is that, right?
I mean, everyone has something different what it means. I mean, you just don't know if it actually is just a static algorithm or does it actually meaningful? What is it?
It is kind of a buzzword that's been thrown around a lot. And so I think it's helpful to level set a little bit. What it really means to us at Vrbo really is that AI is all about systems that can constantly learn and improve. And the way that they do that is not just with technology in general, but with actually access to massive scales of data. So really the efficacy of an AI system, its ability to learn and improve, is based on how much data it can get its hands on and what type of inputs from the different customer types can be brought in. So what does that mean for travel? Well, for us at Vrbo, I mentioned our focus on families. So what we're trying to do with AI is just really simply, how can we use it to solve the problems of complex types of families traveling, and how can we use it to make lives easier for our partners, homeowners and property managers, to do more business on the platform, to grow their business, and to do it in a way that requires less heavy lifting, using AI and data to take some of the guesswork out of being successful. So this visual kind of helps to show that, where on the consumer side, we're really focused on, as I said, these family types. And we've talked about family a bit already today. I don't think I'm the first person to mention it. But what I think is maybe unique about Vrbo's approach is that we're most focused on complicated families. We might all say that we have complicated families in some way, but I mean as you get to a certain level of number of adults, number of kids in a group, it can get pretty complicated to figure out, like, when are we traveling? Where are we traveling? Coordinating the schedule, figuring out where we're going to go. So we're trying to invest in tools using AI to help that process of collaborating and searching be a lot easier.
So I have trip boards. I'm a user. So I'm kind of interested in how you decide and how the algorithm works, or how you're learning from the consumer. So you go in and you do your search, and you're supposed to put in how many adults and children are traveling. A lot of people don't. Is there any way to incentivize more interaction, more two-way interaction with the consumer as they're on the site?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned trip boards, and that's really one of the main ways we're doing it. So trip boards is a relatively new feature on the Vrbo platform. We've been working on it for the past year or so. And what it's really there to do is to actually help bring together the different members of the family who are planning a trip together. And so it allows them to collaborate around a shared wish list of favorite properties, to actually comment and vote, to indicate pros and cons, what they like about each property they're considering, to even chat and discuss together about the trip. And what we've seen in our user research and our testing labs is that really what travelers want, especially, again, when you have these kind of complex groups of multiple decision makers, they want to have all the information and all the communication about their travel plans to be in one place. And so with trip boards and the features we've added to it, it really actually creates this sense of kind of a profile more than an individual search does of what they're looking for. How many adults, how many kids, who are the different decision makers, what are the different places they're considering, the different date ranges. And that gives us a ton of data, signal that we can then go use to feed these AI systems.
So we have a group here from the Hamptons. So I'm looking at a house.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a home for a vacation, a family trip. So I would basically favorite, right, or save maybe 5 or 6 homes. That would create a board.
Yep.
From that board, I can comment and send that board out to my family.
You got it.
So then you've got the emails of the family members who will also be taking this trip. Is that correct?
Well, now we do, because we want to have the different participants be able to create an account and participate in the group. And so the goal is to give them a way that they can communicate and collaborate. So yes, by virtue of that, we do get some information about those consumers as well. But the goal really is to help them have a successful trip. So what we actually do is, as that group's kind of coming on, providing different input into the properties they're interested in, we can use AI to start recommending to them suggestions of how to move that decision process forward. So we'll do recommendations, for example. Recommendations are not that new in the industry in terms of online commerce, though I would say they're kind of underutilized today in travel. What we're seeing on Vrbo is a huge increase in the rate of bookings coming from recommendations, because they can be so relevant when they take all those signals that you talked about into account.
Right.
We know you're considering Hamptons. We know the different people who are communicating about that trip. We know it's important to them. They want a private pool.
Don't
or
you
they
have an
kids.
up and down button on this too?
That's right. So we get these different
if you have a
signals.
property that gets a bunch of down buttons, would that affect their sort or their ranking in your sort?
So the way we have it set up right now is that would affect how that property is recommended for that particular group and other groups like them, though it wouldn't necessarily affect them in the default sort order for the main search results. Because we want things to be personalized, and we want to take those votes into account mostly from that group of users, and not assume that's going to mean the same thing for someone else searching a new search in the main search results.
That makes sense. You've also been working on this chatbot, your virtual assistant.
Yeah, exactly.
As a user, these are things can be frustrating. It's like they guess what you're trying to type in, and you're like, that's not what I want to know. Is this helpful? Yes or no? How are you working on that so that it's not an offensive thing for the family travel?
Sure. So virtual assistant's another new capability that we've been working on. It's something that's powered by AI. It's been around for about a year, and what we found is that we have over 1 million conversations now happening through the virtual assistant. And these are questions that people are asking, often simple questions that are actually there on the property page or somewhere else in the site or app. But there's so much content now, sometimes you just don't know where to find it or how to look for it. So if you have a quick question about an amenity or a house rule or availability or pricing, the virtual assistant or chatbot can just give a super quick answer and help really decelerate that time to getting to the booking or to be further along with your decision process. So in general, it's working. That said, it's not perfect. These technologies do have to evolve. That's the whole idea with AI, constantly learning and improving, is we try to see when's it working, when's it not working. So we ask people to give us feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down. Did we answer your question in a helpful way? And if we don't, we immediately give them an opportunity to contact the homeowner or the property manager so they can answer that question that our technology is not quite ready for.
So does this end up building out like a knowledge base on each property?
Yeah, it does. So what we're trying to do with all of these tools, with trip boards, with recommendations, with the virtual assistant, we're learning more about what types of questions people have in the marketplace. That also helps us spot gaps in content from homeowners. So maybe there's an amenity someone's asking about, and the chatbot can't answer that question because the property owner just hadn't provided that information. We're working on feeding those types of insights back to the homeowners so that they know more about what content they should provide to be more effective in the marketplace. Because that's really our goal, is to use this data, these AI capabilities, on both sides of the marketplace. We get more input from travelers about what's important to them, where the gaps are, and then we can surface it to partners, homeowners and property managers, through our Vrbo dashboard or through APIs and software, so that they can actually understand what they should do differently to adjust their rates or to add more photos or to fill out amenities that we're missing, and then they'll be able to show up more prominently in all these new capabilities.
So how is Expedia contributing to this for you? You've got your Vrbo product team, you've got your Expedia group. Are they actually contributing resources to you in developing out your capabilities?
Yeah, they are. So it happens in a couple different ways. So on one hand, we do have a very Vrbo-focused team, product engineering, data science. That's intentional because, as I mentioned, we have a specific customer type that we're focused on, these kind of big families and the unmet needs that those types of traveling groups have. And so we want to have a lot of focus on that. At the same time, I think we're in kind of a best of both worlds situation where we do have access to a lot of assets from Expedia. Vrbo has a certain scale of data. Expedia, frankly, has an even larger scale of reach of data. So data about market trends, supply and demand, hotel occupancy, flight travel trends. All that data can really help us have a better idea, and then that gets accessed and powered into the Vrbo systems as well. And then certainly just resources. I mean, in the last year, I believe Expedia put over $1 billion of investment into product and technology and data science. And so being able just to tap into that scale of resources is certainly something that we're happy to do and helps us just go faster to add value for our customers.
So in this whole machine learning world, when you set up these systems and you hope they work, is there any kind of accountability to go back and see if they are working the way you wanted to, or are you working with consumers too to vet?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of accountability on that. As I said, our goal is to just provide value to both consumers and our partners, and these systems have to be fine-tuned and trained and invested in over time, so we're always looking for feedback. And we do that in the product itself, like with the up-down voting we talked about, and the virtual assistant. We do it through our research labs, our user studies and focus groups. We do it through surveys, and just through conversations we have with partners at events like this. And the last year, we talked to over 600 property managers at events throughout the year because we wanted to get more insight into what's working for them, what's not working. And one of the themes they've often said is they want to make sure that they have access to tools that just help simplify things for them. And so over the past couple years, we've been putting a lot more investment into our partner-facing tools, things like Market Maker, our revenue management tool, a product called Boost, which allows homeowners and property managers to actually elevate their search position as a reward for having participated in the marketplace. And that's all based on feedback that we've heard from our customers.
Speaking of, you rolled out a test of brands about whether or not you were going to remove property management company brands from the product pages. Where did you end up on that, or have you decided?
That is something that we ended up not rolling out. We do a lot of A/B testing. There's kind of an interesting distinction, I think, between examples I've talked about with AI, where these are systems that are powered by data signals, constantly evolving. We also do more simple controlled experiments, just A/B tests with a couple of variants, and a lot of that's also based on feedback. And one of the points of feedback that we had from consumers was that they were confused by which information we're showing at different stages of the journey. And so we're always just trying different approaches to the UI layout of our sites and pages. Most of those tests actually fail. About 2/3 of the time, when we make an adjustment to a UI in an A/B test, it's a loser. And that's a quick insight, and we shut it off and we move along. About 1/3 of the time, we find something that actually works better, and then we can go build on that. And so in this case, what we're really focused on more broadly is how do we just merchandise the most useful amenities and content and photos to our target audience throughout the searching journey, and we'll keep testing in that vein. And I think over time, you'll find that a lot of the amenities that our target customers, families care about most will start to be showcased more and more and more. To the extent the information about the brand is also relevant for consumers, then we're happy to keep showing that to them.
So we've noticed some photo changes too recently. So you're actually playing with interior photos, living room photos, like which photo is the lead photo in the search,
so
as opposed to them being able to designate that.
That is true. Now, one of the speakers earlier today talked about how critical photos and photo quality and photo coverage is in the short-term rental space. And that couldn't be more true. That's something that we see. It's just one of the most important content assets in the experience. And a lot of times, homeowners and property managers do a great job of capturing photos and choosing which ones to show in what order. But sometimes they just don't have the knowledge to actually have provided the right information at the right point in time for the consumer. Like if you're looking for a house with a private pool and the first photo doesn't show the private pool, that could be a missed opportunity. So we have done some experimentation and probably will continue to, using machine learning and AI to detect what are the objects and shots and scenes in each photo, provide feedback to homeowners about where there may be gaps, where there's important amenities that we're not thinking are present in the photos. You're missing a bedroom, you're missing a bathroom, you're missing some of the kitchen amenities. And then vice versa, based on what's important to the traveler, if they're saying valuing a private pool, we want to make sure we show them more photos that have the pool in place. So over time, I would expect the photo selection to be a bit more dynamic and personalized because that's what consumers need. But we'll make sure we let partners know what we're doing so that they understand that they still have the ability to influence which photos are being shown by providing really good, comprehensive, high-quality photos into the system.
How are you thinking about promoting a company being able to promote their brand using breadcrumbs to their listings? Like, for instance, some people have house signs or house names, or they maybe have a check-in office location that they wanted to use in a photo, and those are being removed. Kind of more long-term, like 2-3 years out, where do you think that Vrbo is trying to more push, kind of eliminate the mention of the brand, or really trying to promote some of these larger brands that are maybe have some equity?
I would say there isn't really a specific goal to eliminate brand or more to promote brand. Really what we're looking for is what of those examples are most helpful for the traveler to decide on the right rental. So if it's information that helps them know that it's going to be an easy home to get into, or that there's going to be amenities or experiences that are available to them as part of staying at that rental, that's information we greatly care about. And I know a lot of the branded short-term rental companies provide wonderful levels of service that way. We want to get that information in a structured fashion onto the Vrbo platform so we can help travelers who are searching for that. So like if you have, as an example, very easy access to the property. You don't have to fumble around in the dark with a lockbox to find a key, but you can just swipe your phone 24 hours. That's a wonderful amenity that we want to make sure that we know about in a concrete, structured way so we can actually surface that to travelers when they're searching and then help them find that rental that meets those needs.
Let's switch over and talk about your pricing tool, which I think is up here on the
Yeah, it's over there.
Side.
It might be over there on the right. It's kind of moving around a lot. Yes.
So you rolled this out about a year ago. It's
Yes.
called Market Maker. It's for the homeowner and the property manager.
Correct.
It builds out comp sets and provides pricing suggestions.
That's right.
Andrew at Lyric said the pricing tools have to be outside the marketplace.
He did say that, yes. I thought that was interesting. So I think it actually can work both ways. So it's been a hot topic today. It's really interesting. What we found is that when we first rolled out Market Maker, our price recommendation tool, we had a key principle from day one, which is that we're not going to be doing any type of set and forget pricing, nor are we going to be providing recommendations that are biased. And so the approach we've always taken is to provide recommendations that we genuinely believe are based on data or in the best interest of that individual homeowner or property manager. And as proof of that, we typically see an almost 50-50 split between price recommendations up or price recommendations down. So we're really just looking to help them be more competitive in their competitive set, as you mentioned, and that is our primary goal. Now, the efficacy of it also can improve. And why I think there's some value in having a tool like that in the marketplace is because we just have access to a ton of data about these markets. And we're making that data available to our homeowners for no additional cost, just to help them be more successful. Of course, they can choose to use other pricing tools as well if they wish, but we wanted to have something that we think is pretty solid, that we're investing a lot in, that's just available to them as part of using the Vrbo platform, and they get to choose how they use it. They can set their goals. They can tell if they want to have more emphasis on filling up occupancy or more emphasis on just increasing average daily revenue, kind of toggle their preference, and they also get to choose which price recommendations they accept or reject, and that gives us good feedback.
Since you have a variable guest fee, which isn't set, I mean, you have the ability to change it. I think there are parameters between a single-digit percentage and to a double-digit percentage. Are you using your pricing suggestion tool and any AI capabilities of that to optimize your take rate?
So no, the price recommendations that we're talking about are really focused on the rental amount, the rental rate, and kind of the take-home revenue for the partner. And that's our goal, is to help them be more successful. There is a variable traveler service fee in the Vrbo marketplace that sits on top of the rental amount, but it's consistent for a given price point. And so for a set of homeowners at a similar price range in a similar market area.
So if everybody's at $250 a night, they have the exact same guest fee.
That's correct.
If they're at $300 a night, they have a separate guest fee.
That's correct, yep.
Got it. Kayak earlier, huge announcement there. He made a comment that the world's best intermediary is Google. We've heard some comments that Google has, the way they've come into the short-term rental industry, especially traditional vacation rentals, has been it's looking to be a little disruptive. How are you looking at that from a product perspective?
Sure. So yeah, certainly Google's a big factor in that they're a partner in a way, in that we do a lot of marketing with Google and acquire customers that way, but it can also be a challenge in terms of course, we want to grow our direct business as well. And so I think it just comes down to focusing on our target customer and providing a lot of value to them. We have a really high NPS for people who book in and stay at a Vrbo, and we're really proud of that, Net Promoter Score. And increasingly we're seeing people who book a Vrbo for a certain type of family trip wanting to do it again. And so we're just trying to appeal to those different types of family travel and really position Vrbo as the best marketplace for finding any type of accommodation that's going to accommodate these large groups of adults and kids traveling together. And we believe more and more people will come direct to Vrbo for that. We also are investing a lot in our mobile app, and the mobile app's a great channel for that repeat business. We find that with features like trip boards and the virtual assistant, consumers are choosing to use the Vrbo mobile app more and more. We're seeing really significant growth in that. And so that's a great way for us to just diversify the way we bring demand into the marketplace and growing more bookings for our partners.
Are you more focused right now on guest or supply?
Man, that's a tough question to answer because being a two-sided marketplace, you really have to be pretty evenly focused between the two. We have large teams, product and engineering, that go deep into each so that we don't have to compromise that much. And really with the partner side, there's also an investment there for individual homeowners and for large property managers. And we really want to serve both of those parties well, too. And so we try to be pretty balanced across those different segments.
Well, I see we're out of time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.